I'm not exactly an insomniac. As I said, I'm not an insomniac, but just feeling inspired to talk about stuff. And I figure I have the time, might as well go ahead and do it. How does that sound to you all? Let's talk about Donald Trump for a moment. You ever watch Saturday Night Live in the last few years seeing Alec Baldwin play Donald Trump? He did a pretty damn good job. I mean, the expression on his face, the demeanor. But the only thing that's not realistic about Alec Baldwin playing Donald Trump is that the damn wig Alec Baldwin wears looks fucking better than Donald Trump's actual comb over squirrel monstrosity he has on top of his head. I bet you if Donald Trump watched Saturday Night Live and seen Alec Baldwin's impression of Donald Trump, he probably thinks, man, I wish my hair really did look like that. Anyway, just an observation on my part. As they pull Donald Trump away from the Oval Office, as his fingernails are being dragged out of the Oval Office, out of the desk, into the carpet, out of the White House by January, kicking and screaming, "Hey, what power? No, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave." And all the Trump supporters right now crying their tears. They're being snowflakes. Oh, Donald Trump was cheated. He was cheated. His defeat was not legitimate. There was cheating. There was cheating. Boo hoo. Let me tell y'all something about American politics. When Republicans accuse Democrats of cheating, they might be right. When the Democrats accuse the Republicans of cheating, they also might be right. And I can guarantee you, were there cheating on the Democrat side against Donald Trump? You bet your ass there were. Were there cheating on the Donald Trump side against Joe Biden and the Democrats? You also bet your ass there were cheating. And every election cycle, there's skullduggery, chicanery involved between the two parties, and it's just how you can master the art of being the guy or gal on your team that can out cheat your opponent. So yeah, I think there was cheating on both sides. I mean, how could there not be? I mean, the cheating that they accuse the Democrats of, I don't believe Democrats use that method. I mean, I think that the Democrats use their political muscle to push the Green Party off the ballot in some states, things like that. And the Republicans, they use voter suppression and find ways for heavily minority areas to discourage them from registering, or try to find ways to make sure their ballot is not valid, or their right to vote is not valid by using every little measure and method to deprive people the right to vote. It happens over and over again. The fact that they were cheating in the 2020 election ain't news. I don't care which side you're talking about. Both sides do it. And I know that people don't like it when you say, well, both sides. But listen, Buster, both sides, you got corruption from both parties. Of course, they're going to be cheating on both sides. As I said, I'm trying not to talk about the 2016 and 2020 primaries. I know that the Trump people hate Bernie Sanders, but look, I know what it's like if the cheating, let's say it's true, that there was chicanery, and I mean, like the chicanery of the Democrats were, monumental compared to the Republicans. Then you ought to have empathy for those of us who supported Bernie Sanders, but somehow I just don't think they would. I'm not for cheating on any side. Honestly, I'm not. But this whole notion of trying to make Donald Trump to be a victim just perplexes me. Donald Trump is not a victim. I hope that everybody listening to me, Donald Trump is not a victim. He should not be considered a victim. He is not to be pitied. If you're a billionaire, I don't care if you're a crusty old white Anglo-Saxon Protestant like Donald Trump, who was so desperate to get votes that he decided he was no longer a Presbyterian, but he's a non-denominational born-again Christian. Please. Yeah. Donald Trump. And it makes me amused to see the sycophants for Trump with memes online showing Donald Trump in a pious position. There was one where he's showing Donald Trump and Mike Pence side by side praying, and they're talking about good Christian men. And I was like, you expect me to believe? Well, yeah, Mike Pence is a religious nut job. I mean, Mike Pence, he left the Catholic faith just to become a fundamentalist holy roller, type of psychotic religious nut job, and that's what he is. His politics is pretty much a representation of it. But Donald Trump came from a very, very Protestant, Calvinistic, Presbyterian background, and they're called the frozen people for a reason. Because Presbyterians are usually very wealthy, affluent people. Not making a judgment call. I'm just saying that's the popular stereotype. They're not going to have a lot of emotion, and if they're devout, they're not going to wear it on their sleeve, or they're just not going to wear it. They're just going to just kind of what have you. So Donald Trump goes around, and people act like the supporters act like he's this person sent by God to save America. But this is nothing new with Republicans, especially the really rabid right wing crowd. They act like any Republican that's in power was sent by God to defeat those godless, evil Democrats. And you go and protest or mobilize in even the most tepid form against any Republican president. Oh, they're persecuted. A rich, wealthy asshole being persecuted, really? And the resistance. Now, the resistance, the way the resistance were resisting was stupid. I don't respect Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer for calling Donald Trump an asshole in public, but then going in and voting in for Trump's legislative agenda, giving him more money for the military than he even asked for, reauthorizing the Patriot Act, and not really doing anything to stop the federal judges in the courts from being appointed. I don't like Donald Trump, but it could be assumed that I might technically hate him less than Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, but I can guarantee you, if I was a member of the U.S. House and U.S. Senate, I would be opposing Donald Trump a hell of a lot more than these McResistant, silly Democrats who want to go around and say, "Orange man bad." The impeachment. I was one of the few lefties around that saying, impeachment is not a good idea. And I would have been proven correct had there not been a COVID virus. But what happened with impeachment is that the resistance were successful in having Donald Trump impeached, and the U.S. Senate pretty much dismissed it because it's a Republican chamber. And what happened for a while, Donald Trump looked like a hero and a victim at the same time. Democrats, you're not supposed to be doing that. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Oh, you could have gotten them on things like war crimes. You know, selling arms to Saudi Arabia that where the weapons are being used to commit genocide against the people of Yemen. And I'm not even being partisan because Bernie Sanders, a hero of mine, and U.S. Senator Mike Lee of Utah, who I'm not particularly fond of, did the right thing, working together to put a stop to the U.S. military weapons being sold to Saudi Arabia. You got a media that people like Wolf Blitzer, who was telling Ron Paul, one of the few good Republicans out there, not on economics but on foreign policy, saying, we got to make $100 billion off these sales, not giving a damn about the human equation of innocent lives being lost in Yemen. And I thought that Trump was supposed to be a different kind of Republican. He ran as an unconventional Republican in 2016. And part of the thing that he ran on was no more wars, to get us out of these neocon wars. Now, Donald Trump was a mild improvement to George W. Bush and Dick Cheney in that regard. There were less wars, but he still did bad shit. Partly because he's an asshole, and also because the neocons and the establishment and the military-industrial complex kind of nudge him toward that direction. It's unforgivable to sit there and bully Venezuela. Venezuela is not a threat to the United States in any way, shape, or form. And how crazy it is to go and bully Venezuela around. That doesn't even fuck with the U.S. in any sort of way because they're an oil-rich country. But you go around and in the words of Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump being Saudi Arabia's bitch. Saudi Arabia, leaving the religion of Islam will get you the death penalty. Protesting for the rights of women in Saudi Arabia would get you the death penalty because the women activists that were protesting for the rights for women to drive cars were executed. In spite of Saudi Arabia finally granting the rights for women to drive, I guess progress is slow. Being part of the LGBTQ community, if you're a homosexual, a lesbian, a bisexual, or transgender, or queer, or any person of that from that orientation, you get the death penalty in Saudi Arabia. In Venezuela, women driving is not an issue. I mean, religion is not an issue one way or the other. And I'm going to guess that maybe Venezuela might not be the most enlightened toward LGBTQ. I'm not sure what their laws are, but I'm sure they are compared next to Saudi Arabia. And the United States bullies Venezuela, but coddles Saudi Arabia. Come on now. In the words of Joe Biden during his campaign. Come on now. Come on. Well, come on. Using a rocket to kill the top-ranking general in the Iranian military, Qasem Soleimani, in Baghdad earlier this year. That is not getting us out of these conflicts. That's increasing it. Taking that peace treaty, the one wonderful thing Barack Obama did on his foreign policy with the peace treaty of Iran, and balling it up just to go and appease the secular neocons in Congress and the military-industrial complex and the evangelical Christians that wants the United States to have a war of Iran, to trigger a nuclear war between Iran and Israel, just to prove that they're right about Scripture, where I could tell you that they're not. For anybody who thinks that I don't bash on Trump enough, I gave you a good couple of reasons why I did oppose him in my way. Now, I don't suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. As I said, next to that, I would take Trump any day over George W. Bush, while still telling you he's a piece of shit. But this resistance was nothing more than virtue signaling and liberal window dressing. Donald Trump isn't a victim, and all the MAGAs out there who act like he's a victim are kidding themselves. And listen, all the Donald Trump supporters who are listening to this, and I'm not saying this to be mean. This applies to people who are my heroes too. Donald Trump could care less about you. He doesn't know who you are. He could care less about you. I would say the same thing about people I like too on my side of the spectrum. They don't know who I am and could care less who I am, even though I go here online here on YouTube and basically act like a social democratic Rush Limbaugh or a social democratic Sean Hannity, rah rah with my pom poms for Bernie Sanders and AOC, while Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity with their pom poms rah rahing for any Republican at the moment. The difference is that I'm principled when I take my pom poms and rah 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 for Bernie Sanders and AOC, while Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity are paid to be a mouthpiece for the Republican National Committee. There's no financial gain for what I'm doing here. I do this because I have a message to share with everybody that social democracy is going to be what saves this country. Well, let me continue on. Donald Trump isn't a victim. For all you MAGAs out there, Donald Trump isn't a victim. All you Hillary Clinton supporters, all you Hillary Clinton supporters out there who went into meltdown when Donald Trump won in 2016. Woman is worth $250 million. You bet your ass she's worth $250 million. She used that Clinton Foundation to siphon money off of foreign governments. That was correct. That was a correct accusation. Bill and Hillary Clinton ain't victims. Barack Obama. Now, I thought that the attacks against Obama by the Tea Party was asinine and stupid. But for the African American community, I understand why there was glee when Obama became the first black president elected. I understand that. Again, to the African community, American community, Barack Obama's a wealthy man. He's not a victim, and he could care less as well. Bill Clinton, he could, same thing. All the liberals, and I was one of those liberals in 1992 celebrating 12 years of Reagan and Bush gone. And I thought, oh, yes, we're finally going to, well, I didn't think of terms of social democracy, but I just thought we were going to go and move forward. And all the progress of the 1960s and early 70s was going to continue. I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to have a second New Deal, and we're going to have a national health insurance system, single payer, and we're going to go and put civil libertarians into the courts, and we might abolish the death penalty, and we might become, we might become that enlightened society that the United States were on the path on at one time. Didn't happen, and all the people who hated Bill Clinton. And all the people who were cheerleaders for Bill Clinton isn't a victim. Well, I thought, my God, the right wing are attacking him. Looking back, and I'm thinking, my gosh, I why didn't I join not join them ideologically, but why didn't I just say, hey, right wingers back then? Maybe you're right about Bill Clinton. Maybe he is a piece of shit. And I think of all the other Democrats that have lost over the years. George McGovern, Jimmy Carter when he lost in 1980, Walter Mondale, Michael Dukakis, later on with Al Gore, and later on with John Edwards. John Kerry. I'm sorry. I mean, all these people could care less. Even Jimmy Carter, who in my 51 years was probably, and not because he was president, but what he did after the presidency, building houses for the homeless and doing what he can for world peace, was probably one of the greatest presidents in my lifetime. I mean, the thing about it is, getting back to Donald Trump, that he's not a victim. The victim really is the American people. It's me. It's all of you. All of us. With the neocon wars that both parties get their rubber stamp to. It's a failing healthcare system whereby insurance companies are propped up. And they're making insurance companies now like the right wing's making the insurance company out like they're the victim when they're anything but. When the insurance companies are nothing but bloodthirsty panels of murderers that murder people on the basis of they can't afford health care. Fuck them, you know? The outsourcings that have been taking place for many, many, many years, where good paying union jobs leave here and tiptoe halfway across the pond around the world. And look what happened with COVID. Yeah, we had a one-time stimulus check. Awesome. That stimulus check should have been permanent. We should have a UBI because of it. We should have Medicare for all because of it. But look at what Steve Mnuchin did. The $4.5 trillion to be sent to the corporations, the treasuries gets raided, and the premise that we got to go and protect jobs. And then what happened? They lay off these people anyway. We just let corporate America rob us. If there's any reason why Donald Trump's ass should be packing, leaving the White House and retiring somewhere, is what is allowing that shit to happen earlier this year. I don't want to hear it from anybody who gets on my case for not shitting on Donald Trump enough. Like Jimmy Dore says, you got all these people that can dump on Donald Trump. So go ahead and find what's wrong with the corporate Democrats. Criticize them because they deserve some serious criticizing. Donald Trump ain't a victim. If Joe Biden would have lost, he wouldn't have been a victim. Neither would have been Kamala Harris. Most American politicians are not victims, even when they get defeated. Some people get hurt over this and be like, oh no, oh no, oh no. Even my defense of Bernie Sanders. Even with my defense of Bernie Sanders. They cheated him twice. And he gets blamed on for all the problems that the Democratic Party has. They blame him. Oh, he's the reason why we ended up with Donald Trump. And they actually, in some ways, I feel like they've actually convinced Bernie Sanders himself that he might have played a role in Donald Trump winning in 2016 when he didn't. No. He's not a victim either. He's making pretty good money. Happy for him. He's got the good health care because he's a senator. And most members of Congress, U.S. government officials, they all got the finest health care. Be nice if the American people can have access to that fine health care. None of these Democrats and Republicans and anybody else who's in Washington, D.C., they're not victims either. The average man and woman living in this country, regardless of their race or their religion, or their ethnicity, or their sexual orientation, or whatever else that defines what it means to be an American, They're the true victims. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were triggered, well, tough, comment anyway. Share the content on this channel. And if you're passionate about something, it's my First Amendment, as a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you're passionate about something and have a platform, utilize it. If you don't have a platform, create one. Utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. And most importantly, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, peace. Bernie Sanders for president in the year 2024.